Hi folks, welcome to A-Frame Woodworking. Yesterday I was able to pick up a used Jet 1632 drum sander, and I have it set up here in the shop, so I just wanted to go over a couple of things with this unit and explain a little bit about why I purchased the machine, and then we're going to go ahead and run a couple sample boards. I haven't even run any pieces here in my shop. I did a test at the person's home who was selling it, so I just want to go through a couple things about the machine. It had some really good reviews out there. The drum sander basically has two main features. It has a drum with sandpaper wrapped around it underneath this hood, and then it has a conveyor system that feeds the piece through the sander. It has variable speed on the conveyor belt, so I can control the speed. The tracking on this machine was rated really good by people who did the review, and there are a couple reasons why I got this machine. It has an open end on this side, so I can sand much wider pieces than just what's on the conveyor belt by taking two passes. The other reason why I got this machine was for some of the wild grain that I work with, especially in this walnut. The grain doesn't always go true to the length of the board. And as I was running a lot of this through the planer, you get a lot of breakout in wild grain. If it's figured or has a burl or an area that just doesn't run true to the board, the sander will allow me to take this down to that final thickness without ruining this good grain pattern in here. And the last reason why I got this is if you've been following along on any of my videos, or if you've been over to curious.com and seen some of the projects I put on there, I'm starting to do a lot of projects with the pallet, reclaimed pallet material. And sometimes I take this down and sand it and reclaim the whole thing, or sometimes I just leave it lightly sanded. I don't want to run this through my planer. I do a really good job of checking for nails and any types of metal, but this pallet material is still dirty. It has grits in it. I use older saw blades when I'm working with it, and the sander will just allow me to take this down to final thickness or do a one pass on it to just kind of clean it up. So let's go ahead and run a couple pieces through here and just check our thickness, make sure the tracking's on, and I'll show you how this thing is set up and how we can go ahead and start sanding some of our material. Alright, this Jet machine is pretty straightforward in its operation. It has an in-feed and out-feed table, the conveyor system. Under here is my drum. Right now there's 120 grit sandpaper loaded in here. It has a 4-inch dust port on the top, which I have hooked up to my dust collector. It has a mobile base on it, so I can wheel it around the shop. You got your power switch with a safety key in there. Here is my conveyor speed, anywhere from 0 to 100. Manual, it recommends to start at about 40 or 50% just so you get a good idea of what feed rate with the material, if it's pine, if it's oak, if it's walnut, if it's figured. You may need to adjust your speed. And then the depth of cut is up here. So a quarter turn equals 1/64 of material. It's always better to take lighter passes. You don't want to overload the machine. So let's go ahead, I'll get my dust collector fired up and we'll take a couple passes on this natural edge pine. So after sanding it with just the 120 grit roll a couple times, you can see that it leaves a very nice smooth finish even on this pine. I did joint the bottom edge of this just to make sure that I had one flat surface on my test. I did go ahead and mic it, and I was 0.72 on each of the four corners, so that means it's not tracking incorrectly and the drum's set up correctly, so I'm taking the same amount of thickness off at each end. I do have a little bit of adjustment to do on my in-feed and out-feed table, but as you can see, the results are pretty good. I'll go back and do some cleanup on this, but to at least get this roughly sanded, this is going to save me a lot of time in my shop. Pretty pleased with the results. Can't wait to get a couple more boards sanded through it so I can really see how it works. Thanks for watching. As always, check us out, www.aframewoodworking.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more videos brought to you by A-Frame Woodworking. Thanks for watching.